Happy Wednesday, everyone. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for a Bucket with Jo. 2 games on the ice, and my God, last night's action was absolutely phenomenal out there. I was left speechless, and I'm so glad I had a voice today because that double overtime between the Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers was absolutely electric. I was screaming, it seemed like every time a shot went on net. Absolutely phenomenal hockey out there. And of course, we were able to catch the New York Rangers getting the win, being disrespected in the Garden for the second game in a row. Now they have moved in the odd standings to be able to take the Stanley Cup. And I tell you, this team is so phenomenally complete. I absolutely think it's worth a couple of dollars on them. Igor Shesterkin playing phenomenal. This team on the power play is just elite. Now, the Carolina Hurricanes aren't making it easy on themselves. They're taking these penalties, and man, what can I say? Trocheck with that second, with the goal in the second overtime, it was just absolutely lights out. So you guys watch for the Rangers. It is going to go back to Carolina, tied or not tied, 2-0 for the New York Rangers. I do think Carolina probably picks up a win in Carolina, wins game 3 or game 4. We'll break that down more in detail tomorrow, but let's get into today's action. Well, and then we can't forget about the Avs and the Stars. The Avs coming out, pushing that one to OT, down 0-3 after the first period. The Stars just phenomenally strong in that first, but guess what? Colorado won it 4-3 in OT. We had the over 6.5. We had the overtime in the earlier game. It was a nice day out there. Cale Makar, we had for his shots on goal. I don't think he hit his shots on goal, but he did come out impactful and get those 2+ points. If you rode that, that was at plus 258, I believe, for the 2+ points for him, or it was plus 158. It was plus money either way. So it was a solid night. Oh, and Wyatt Johnson got us that goal, plus 170. It was a great day out there on the ice. Let's make some freaking money tonight. Today's a new day. Let's bounce back. If you got crushed yesterday by the books, I tell you, the Diamonds were super hard on me yesterday. It all started off with Ross Stripling, and it was a downward slope from there. We did get Soroka over his strikeouts. He came out nice and strong for us. I had another strikeout prop. Can't remember. Gone over so many games today and talked about so many pitchers. So happy hump day, Larry. Let's get some freaking money is right. I see all of you watching. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that retweet button. I appreciate it so much. More people can then see the video, and yeah, it'll be good. I also want to hear you guys' thoughts on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We know that core 4 of the Leafs really needs to be broken out. Now, all 4 of them have the non-trade, non-move clause in their contracts. So one of them would have to waive it, but I do think between Nylander, Austin Matthews, Tavares, and Mitch Marner, one of them is gone for next season. Now, my thoughts and what I'm kind of hearing, like rumoring around, is that we'll see Mitch Marner go to Edmonton and Corey Perry go to Toronto. Corey Perry wanted to land in Toronto, but they couldn't take him on, and Mitch Marner would be more than happy to go play with Connor McDavid. So that is what I am hearing. We'll see if that comes true. Let's break down these games today. I want to hear, though, where you guys think players should go if they're leaving Toronto, where you think players would be willing to trade to. I tell you, that group doesn't like that. No, Mitchie. You want to keep your Mitch Marner. I completely understand wanting to keep him. I just don't think the 4 work well together. I think they're just fire and water. The 4 of them out there on the ice. We saw when Austin Matthews wasn't on the ice, they had success. They're not going to move Austin Matthews. We already know that. They won't move William Nylander. So I do think it's between even Tyler Bertuzzi. Tyler Bertuzzi could be on the go. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, he was not good in the playoffs this year. Okay, 2 games. We have the Boston Bruins taking on the Florida Panthers, and the Edmonton Oilers are taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Now, firstly, we've got another team being disrespected at home in the Vancouver Canucks. So we're going to get to this game second, but I do think huge disrespect here, especially when they swept the Oilers in the regular season. And yes, the regular season doesn't really show what these teams are capable of, but I do think Vancouver is hot right now. So we're going to look at that in a minute. First, the Boston Bruins taking on the Florida Panthers. This is game 2 here. I was so wrong. On game 1, I expected more out of the Florida Panthers, and the Boston Bruins came out so phenomenally strong off that Game 7 win versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. They just dominated that game, winning at 5-1. There was an empty netter there, so Bobrovsky allowed those 4 goals. He allowed 4 goals on 29 shots on net. He does have a save shot on goal prop today of 24.5. I would stay off of it just because I think it goes under, because the defense here, the Florida Panthers, needs to show up today. This is a defense that can really limit their opponent's ability to get those shots on goal, and I'm just not seeing enough out of them. And I do think in this game we see more. Now, looking at Boston, Swayman, what is he? The hottest goalie right now of all time. He's running so incredibly hot. He's 5-2 in the postseason with a 1.42 goals against average and a 9.55 save percentage. Absolutely mind-blowing numbers out of Swayman. He's going to continue to roll hot here. His save shots on goal numbers coming in at 29.5 minus 122 to the over. I do think this is one where you definitely can take it over. The Florida Panthers are down in this series. They're going to be firing at will in this game. When we look at game 1, they were able to record 39 shots on net, but they had 86 attempts on net. So when they say it's an attempt, there's a lot of times, you guys, we're sitting there going, how was that not counted as a shot on goal, especially when we're writing those player props? It's just because it's not completely off target, but there's some of those cases where it's just slightly off and they're not recording it as a shot. They're recording it as an attempt. So when we look at the Florida Panthers, 86 attempts in the last one, 39 official shots on goal. And we're getting Swayman at 29.5 at minus 122 to the over. Definitely going to take him over that number. I do expect the Florida Panthers to pepper him in this one. Now, can Swayman stand on his head again? Absolutely. We know he can. He's being hot. I'm not going against him here. I'm going to take that total to the over. Now, as far as the side here, I want to jump on the Florida Panthers. I do think they win one here at home, but I can't. We look at the value on these lines, and let's just pull them up here. Over on FanDuel, all of these odds, you guys. The Florida Panthers are minus 164 at the moment on the money line. If I was to take the Florida Panthers, I want to bet them on the money line. I'm not laying minus 164. There is no way. The Bruins have all the value. They lost that first game. They're coming in at plus 136. I completely understand if any of you are betting the Boston Bruins in this one. I just look here, and I do think this is a goaltending battle. I think Bobrovsky steps up more, and the defense steps up more of the Florida Panthers. I think it's a super tight game. That total of 5.5, it's minus 114 to the under, minus 106 to the over. I'm going to stay off the total. I'm going to stay off the side. This is a player prop game for me. Swayman being my favorite bet, over 29.5 save shots on goal. Then I'm going to look at who on the Florida Panthers I believe is going to get these shots. Now, Sam Reinhart, absolutely phenomenal on the power play. I expect this game to be completely scrappy out there and these teams to be hard-hitting teams. So give me Sam Reinhart for 4+ shots on goal. That's coming in at plus 158. I love his ability to get these shots in this game. As I said, the Boston Bruins are allowing these shots to come in. They're allowing an average in the postseason here of 31.8 shots on goal per game. And these attempts are coming. And with Florida desperate not to go down 0-2 before heading back to Boston, you know you're going to get them firing. So Sam Reinhart for the 4+ shots. I would also look at him for the anytime goal. Now, Sam Reinhart for the anytime goal is coming in at plus 140. If you can get on your books the power play point, I like it so much more. I'm not seeing the power play point over on FanDuel, so I can't give you odds on that. But if you do look for that power play point, I think he can come out and be able to get it. I like it better than the anytime goal today, that power play point. He's been incredible. Now, he's had 4 more shots on goal in 9 of his last 10 games, including 5 of the 6 games in the playoffs. So he has been able to get these shots against the defenses. And I really do think in this one, he stands up and has a big game. Now, Brandon Montour, the offensive defenseman, I love his value on 3+ shots on goal. That's coming in at minus 102. You could always look at Matthew Tkachuk for his shots on goal, but I would rather take Matthew Tkachuk for the anytime goal rather than his shots on goal. We really do see the Boston Bruins all over him, not allowing him that room on the ice, and rightly so. We know Matthew Tkachuk was the only person to score a goal in the last game for the Florida Panthers. He is so solid in the playoffs that he is always a playmaker. Now, in the last game, Pasta came out nice and strong. We did see Brandon Carlo come out and get that anytime goal for the Boston Bruins. On the same day, his second child was born. So pretty special. And the Boston Bruins are playing with this confidence level that is hard to beat out there. I love what they're bringing to the table, but I do think in this one, it's just dangerous here to take them against Florida down the one game. They should have their legs under them now after having all of that time off and shake off a little bit of that rust. This defense is so strong, and Bobrovsky, if he comes out nice and strong, should play a pivotal part in this game. Before I look at that total, I would look at the under 1.5 in the first period, expecting these defenses to really lock down in that first period and play elite hockey. So player prop game for me, though, Swayman over his 29.5 save shots on goal. Sam Reinhart, 4+ shots on goal, plus 158. The power play point, if you can get it over the anytime goal, but I would take either depending on what your book gives you. And then Brandon Montour for 3+ shots on goal at minus 102. Okay, let's look at the next game out here on the ice. The Edmonton Oilers versus the Vancouver Canucks. Now, as we start to talk about this, you guys have to remember, I'm a Calgary Flames fan. I want to see the Edmonton Oilers be swept, and I'm not going to hold back on saying that. I would love to see Vancouver come out and sweep the Edmonton Oilers. Can that happen? Highly doubtful. The Edmonton Oilers are such a phenomenally strong team, and they get teams to play their style of hockey. If they push the Vancouver Canucks into a highly explosive offensive game, I think Vancouver is going to be done. That being said, Vancouver did lead the league at one point during the regular season for their goals per game. This team was really stepping up offensively, but the core of this team is solid defense. And I do think this defense needs to shut down the Edmonton Oilers. So we'll see what style of hockey we're going to get out there. But I do believe Vancouver could take it. If Vancouver takes this series, I'm looking for it to be in 7. This is not going to be easy. I think this is going to be a back and forth battle out there. And I do think this game has every opportunity tonight to go to overtime. I expect the best out of both of these teams. Now, no goaltender announced yet for the Vancouver Canucks. Demko, we know he is out. I've heard it's his knee, so I'm not completely sure on that. Casey Smith, we know, is injured. So Silvos should be getting the start here for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, he's been incredibly hot in his 3 starts in the playoffs. So I'm good with going with the Hulk goaltender. I think even if Demko was ready to hit the ice, I would still go with the young kid in net here, because there's nothing better than a hot goalie. And that's the problem with Florida and Boston with Swayman. He's hot right now. So the hot goalie absolutely is something that you have to circle. So game 1 between these two, Stuart Skinner here of the Edmonton Oilers in net. Now, he's hit and miss on some days and not on others. He's been strong in a couple of these games, and he's allowed a couple of really weak goals in, but Edmonton was still able to get past the Kings. Connor McDavid got 12 points in the first round. Nugent Hopkins was phenomenal. Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, the amount of goals he was able to get was absolutely crazy. When I look at this matchup, the disrespect here for the Vancouver Canucks being a home dog, I just can't get past. I do think Vancouver is going to be an electric atmosphere tonight. I'm riding with the home team. Like I said, it's going to be hard. It's going to take overtime, I think, for the Vancouver Canucks to win. And for them to win, they have to, 1, stay out of the penalty box, and they can't turn over that puck. If they allow the Edmonton Oilers in transition to get that puck away from them, the Oilers' speed down the ice will be unstoppable. And then the poor kid in net, he's going to be hit phenomenally hard. So Vancouver can't turn over that puck. They can't take those penalties. Special teams has been absolutely dominant here for the Edmonton Oilers. They've got the best power play in the playoffs right now, scoring 45% of the time on the power play. And their kill. Talk about a phenomenal kill. They've killed every single penalty so far in the playoffs. It's just unbelievable what special teams is doing out here for Edmonton. And I hate to pump up Edmonton here, but you guys, you have to look at them to be able to come out nice and strong in those situations. When you look at Vancouver, their power play, been pretty miserable so far, only converting 15.4% of the time. Thank God. Their kill has been strong at 91% of the time out there. I'm going to look at a couple things in this one. I'm going to take Vancouver to come out, get the win. I'm going to take this one to overtime. I want to take Edmonton under 3.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 140. It feels a little high. I feel like Edmonton could win this 3-2 in OT, or they could win this, 8-1, because it's the Edmonton Oilers. And if they get the best of Silos in net for the Vancouver Canucks and Vancouver takes those penalties and they don't play their style of hockey and buy into Edmonton's style of hockey and try to come at them with speed, we'll see those turnovers and we'll see Edmonton capitalize on every single mistake the Vancouver Canucks make. So I'm staying off this total. I do think Vancouver has an opportunity to pull it off. I love them with the plus money. I love this overtime at plus 350. I'm also going to look here at, Elias Pettersson may or may not be out there on the ice. I would look at Vancouver playmakers. Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes has been phenomenal. Let's just pull up his odds here, you guys. I can't remember off the top of my head what Quinn Hughes is for his goal tonight. Actually, I want to look at Quinn Hughes for his points. We don't have, again, power play points over on FanDuel, so it's a little frustrating. His anytime point, the 1+ points coming in at minus 164. I don't want to hit that. But Quinn Hughes for the 2+ points, I could see that clicking in here. We need a goal and an assist or 2 assists out there on the ice. He's on the number 1 power play, and he is so beneficial from the blue line for the Vancouver Canucks at plus 290. Now, if you're looking here at Edmonton, these playmakers are so phenomenally strong. To record just 1 point, Connor McDavid, it's laughable numbers at minus 670. I don't know who's betting it at that price, but the 2+ points for Connor McDavid is coming in at minus 148. I would stay off that. I don't think there's enough value. Zach Hyman, though, if you're looking at points for his 2+ points coming in at plus 300, you know how strong Zach Hyman's been during the playoffs. One thing you guys have to remember, and Gabe Morency really pointed it out when we did Sports Rage on Monday night, was don't forget how Edmonton looked off the extended break after the All-Star break. They were on that hot roll, winning, 16 games, had the All-Star break, hit it the worst time, came back out, faced a divisional matchup in the Kings, and lost. So this is one where I do think the rest will be rest for the Edmonton Oilers, and that's another reason why I'm hitting the Vancouver Canucks here. So be cautious when you're taking any of these player pops. I do feel like Zach Hyman and Leon Draisaitl are players that you can really look at for Edmonton here. Leon Draisaitl for his 2+ points, so you're not getting enough value at plus 142. And JT Miller has been phenomenally strong for Vancouver as well, plus 220. You guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Yeah, he's still not skating. Yeah, those three are playing phenomenal hockey. That is for sure. Over 4.5 for Boston. I don't hate Boston's team total to the over 4.5. They can hit that if the Florida Panthers defense and goaltending do not show up in this one. Oilers line changed. We're going to see Zach Hyman for the 4+ goals in the series. I absolutely love Zach Hyman for the 4+ goals in this series. And I think it's a really solid bet. Okay, Silvos will be in net. I absolutely love that. Thank you for throwing that out there. Your best bets for the series, Zach Hyman, leading goal scorer, and Connor McDavid, over 1.5 points every game in that series. That is a really solid bet. Let's just look at a couple more series bets in this one, because this is going to be a phenomenal series. I really do think this one goes the distance. So looking at players for those goal scorers. Okay, let me see. Playoff series. Okay, so looking at players for those goals over the course of the series, I really do think is a smart way to go. This is really interesting, and I bet this between who did I bet it between? The Dallas Stars matchup. The Dallas Stars and why am I drawing a blank? You guys, one of those days. We just saw them last night. The Dallas Stars versus, oh my God. You know when you have those brain farts that are totally like the absolutely worst and you just don't know how to recover from it because your brain can't think even fast enough for it. But looking at the Edmonton Oilers versus the Vancouver Canucks, you can have series overtime specials, series to end in 7 games in overtime. I think is a phenomenal way to look. It's plus 1,300 between the Oilers and the Canucks. I really could see it going this way. We saw Boston and the Leafs be able to go that way. And I do think this is a strong possibility. The Avs. It's Dallas Stars and the Avs, you guys. Total brain fart. But I do think this one has the ability to go to game 7 and go to overtime at plus 1,300. Now, I don't like to bet any game not to go to overtime in this series, but if you don't think this is going to be an overtime series, that's coming in at plus 210. JT Miller to score one time overtime goal. I love that because I am looking for these games to go to overtime. JT Miller, we know how phenomenally strong he has been for the Vancouver Canucks. That's coming in at plus 1,400. So you're getting better value on JT Miller to score 1+ overtime goals than this one to go all the way to 7 and in overtime. So I think JT Miller for the 1+ overtime goals is my favorite there. Now, if you think Connor McDavid's going to be impactful and score 1+ goals in overtime, who doesn't think Connor McDavid wouldn't clinch one of these games in OT? That's coming in at plus 800. So I think it's really solid to look at both of those bets there for those playmakers. Now, the 3+ goals is where I really like to look at this market. Elias Pettersson for the 3+ goals at plus 155, I think has value. JT Miller at plus 110. Both of those guys for the Vancouver Canucks, if you look at Brock Besser, he's coming in at minus 115. So not as much value, but I do see the goals coming out of those 3. But again, the value is not there. Zach Hyman at minus 280. We can't hit. Connor McDavid at minus 260. We've got to look at those guys for the 4+ goals. So Zach Hyman for 4+ goals over the course of the series is minus 110. It's not the value I wanted, but I do think he hits that. Elias Pettersson for the 4+ goals is plus 480. He was pretty quiet in the first round versus the Predators. I could see him stepping up in this one. JT Miller's at that plus 310 mark. Evander Kane's at plus 1,000 and Elias Lindholm at plus 1,700. It's getting a little bit high. I want to look at Quinn Hughes, though, you guys. Let's just look at Quinn Hughes for the 3+ because they're not giving me him for the 4+, and he's been hugely impactful out there. And they're not even giving me Quinn Hughes on this list over on FanDuel, which tells me Quinn Hughes is probably going to be phenomenally strong. If you think one of these players is going to be the leading goal scorer for the series, I heard you guys throw out Zach Hyman. He's at plus 340. Connor McDavid at plus 340. Leon Draisaitl at plus 360. And then you get a huge gap down from Vancouver. Brock Besser at plus 800. JT Miller at plus 1,000. Elias Pettersson at plus 1,400. So the book's expecting Edmonton to be the leading goal scorers across the board, which is pretty fair because when you look at the Vancouver Canucks, they do spread the puck around quite a bit. But you guys, yeah, the Avs, that's for sure. In the text after your show, can I recap the picks? I give out so many picks. We talk so much here. It is hard to recap, but I can put a little note below, or you can just join me on Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. They put up a nice little graphic of all of my picks, so you can just grab that and go from there. The value on Connor McDavid, I love it too. How can we not take Connor McDavid for 1+ overtime goals? I think that's probably my favorite series-long bet. I'm going to jump on that right before this game kicks off. Well, right after we finish up here. So Connor McDavid to score 1+ overtime goals, plus 800. And I'm going to hit JT Miller for 1+ overtime goals at plus 1,400 as well. I do think the big playmakers come out in this series to clinch their team these wins. So I love it. You guys, all the best in all of your bets today. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me here on Puck It with Jo. I'm going to go have more coffee. It's miserable weather here in YYC. I tell you, Can't wait for summer. The wind has been blowing so bad. Like my neighbor's gazebo flew down. I can see garbage cans just like flown all over the road outside. It's a mess. Absolutely a mess, but we got rain. So we're going to have green grass next week. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day. See you.